Hi, is this working? Is everything chill? Are we good to go? I have to test this out. However, assuming I am live, am I live? Is this happening right now? Okay. How's everyone's day going? This is going to be such a chill stream, to be honest, you guys, because I struggle so much with organization, and I'm trying to be so much better. I want to do more like video essays, but it's literally turning out. I literally got a notification for myself saying that I'm live, but I'm not live. Anyways, how's everyone? I don't know what I'm talking about. Now I'm watching an ad for myself. So this is going to be a super chill live. I can make more structured lives in the future. I just decided I wanted to go live and talk about this today. Hi guys, I see you. I see you in the chat. I hate doing live streams. Like, I love being able to interact with you guys, but like there's such a big okay, we have to get into it before 90% of people click off. Okay, so first thing I wanted to show you. Here's my master list preview of what we're going to talk about. Shout out to these people. Neon Twilight Music and this person for creating this music video. I don't know if we all know about dissociative. If this is your first video listening to someone talk about them who isn't dissociative, this might be a little bit confusing. Is this a horrible video to start with?
By DissociaDID. This is Jade. And today I'm going to be answering questions that were given to us by our patrons.
Okay, I am live. This is so awkward. No, I mean, this is so chill anyways. Literally, somebody made a song for dissociative. Like, are you kidding me? It's honestly a bop. Wait, let me make sure.
I'm playing Jade. She's a gatekeeper born in her cave. She controls minds, long black hair.
Wait, just wait for it.
Piercing eyes, a thin girl.
It's such a pop.
No idea why I introduced them in the first place. You pathological liar, toss you in my fire.
Anyways. Like who? Wait.
Because DID's a game.
Like why? Okay, maybe like if this was an actual song that was not about dissociative, why is it kind of a bop? I'm sorry for dropping my mic within the first 5 minutes, you guys. Why are so many people saying hello? Thank you so much for being here. Basically, on the dissociative Reddit, I don't know if this person wants a shout out or not, because some people might not want a shout out from Michelle Betta. However, this is an ex-friend of dissociatives, and basically they're bringing up, this video is honestly just going to be me. I don't know if anyone has ever seen one of these live streams, but just going over, just basically reading off of the Reddit, just because I like to do read aloud. Like whenever I listen to the Reddit, I go like, oh, I can't do it on incognito mode. But anyways, the first thing I kind of wanted to do today was watch, like, this is a genuine question for me. And this is not, like, everything I'm talking about in today's video is completely alleged and for entertainment purposes, because even with all of this clinical evidence of malingering, some people were commenting this and being like, I do have a trauma-based disorder and I am apparently malingering. You know what I mean? So it might, I want to hear your thoughts on it. This isn't like set in stone, although all of these are .orgs and .govs to my understanding. But the first thing I kind of wanted to do was watch this clip and be like, okay, what? Because this was, my timeline is mixed up. So, content warning for Team Pinata. We don't have time to go back into all of the Team Pinata stuff, but basically, Dissociative and Team Pinata are dating here, and that is irrelevant because, I kind of just wanted to know if this is how switches can present, especially in a time where you have just begun therapy, because we've seen back in the day when they had a journal for all of their alters to participate in, who is out, who's doing this and that, what their roles are. You know, Sally is a protector. You know, but apparently during this time, Mike wasn't, I'm sorry, I'm a bit all over the place today. Mike was not allowing them to go to therapy every single time. So I'm just curious as to how somebody can have such good communication with their alters, have such fluent switches, and with little therapy. I don't know. It absolutely could be possible. But first of all, let's start with 6 minutes. Basically, Team Pinata is doing Nin's makeup. If you don't know, Nin freaking okay, so there was Chloe, and then Chloe fused with Nina, a sexual protector, which in and of itself, this is a question, but an apparently normal part who has little to no memory of any trauma, fusing with little therapy with a sexual protector, you know what I mean? To me, it's like, how does that fuse happen? Is it like, okay, now I have all these memories and I know why this alter was created because of all these memories I now have? I imagine that might be distressing. Anyways, and then they fused to make Nin, and then Kaya was, and now they are Soren. Someone told me I'm pronouncing it wrong, but never apologize for being you. Okay, so you binge watched all the live streams, so you're all up to date. Okay,
What?
I'm gonna read the comments.
You judging me?
No.
Also, let me know if I'm too quiet compared to the video.
Nin judging my makeup putting on skills, and I'm sure a lot of y'all are as well. Judge all you want. Whatever.
That's Kyle's job.
Whatever.
Whatever.
In it, like, shut up.
So basically, in this clip, Nin is making fun out of Kyle's accent, and Kyle comes out from a trigger that they were making light of his accent. I don't know. I'm just genuine question.
Sorry.
Don't sound like that.
How my babes doing?
My babes.
My babes. How my babes doing?
How are my babes doing? What's up, lads? My parents.
Yeah, so basically in a lot of old dissociated videos, like Kyle, I understand that some alters might be closer than others, in the way that they might have better communication with each other, but at the same time, it's almost like Kyle is always watching over their shoulder and can just pop in whenever. Is that an accurate experience?
Apparently standing in for a minute.
You're so pretty.
Oh, thanks, Riv.
Oh, so pretty.
Have we officially met yet?
No, we haven't.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. You will now be sorely disappointed.
What, after meeting you? Or
Yeah.
the fact that you're making me look like a raccoon from the feel of it?
Both.
Oh, great. Okay. No, I don't think you're disappointing.
Well, we're gonna have to...
Hi, Peggy. Thank you so much for being here. I don't think there's much to this part. I don't know if you guys want to watch it or not. I'm going to fast forward to 9:25, but this is kind of just them being like, Nin is inside and now Kyle is out. And Nin doesn't want to come back out because she wants these two alters to bond. It's such good control of the system, you know what I mean? I was just, when I was watching this, I was just kind of caught off guard, but maybe this is a genuine experience.
See, your fucking eyelashes are getting in the way.
I'm so sorry. I'm just so naturally beautiful.
Well, I mean, Jer thinks you are.
Someone has to.
Look up.
Yes, sir.
I like that.
Hi, Jess Quinn and also Biohazard. How are you guys doing today? Sorry for the random live, but thank you so much for coming.
Nin, where the f*** did you go?
You uncomfortable?
I didn't sign up for this.
You're a little uncomfortable.
I'm just not sure what I'm meant to be doing.
You're supposed to be letting me put on makeup. The thing is...
Okay.
it's kind of weird having just started therapy. I think if you worked on communication, it would make more sense. But the issue is, like, what's the trigger? The accent? Right, like, that's, thank you. What's the accent? Well, I believe Kyle's is an Essex accent. Don't ask me where Essex is, because I don't know. I mean, obviously it's in England, but I'm that far.
Hey!
Hey, I said it was gonna be goth. It's gonna be goth.
I think.
Okay, you still wear makeup now as Ribbon?
Pretty much eye makeup. I don't wear the dark lipstick anymore. I mean, I can, but I generally don't.
You still got Evan's accent.
Yeah, I do. It's a little lazier now, because I got the Californian
I worry so bad that I'm going to miss a good part, but I kind of want to fast forward.
influence also.
You move your mouth like Seth did.
I do?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's good to know. The more you know.
Then.
Okay, so this is the part I wanted to show you. Like, he's like, okay, you get the point. He's like, where Nin is laughing at me on the inside because she wants you two to mingle. It's like, well, I don't know if that's how this works.
She's laughing at me. I
Oh.
think she's staying out of the way on purpose because she's like, you two need to talk.
Oh. About what?
I don't fucking know.
Oh.
I don't have any problem with you.
Oh. He does.
I don't. I don't. I swear. I swear. I'd tell you if there was an issue. You know I would.
Yeah. Nah. Nah.
And then at 9:25, I believe Nin switches back in.
I have to deal with stupid. I don't know what
Are you
color.
calling me stupid?
No, I'm calling.
I don't know. Obviously, switches can happen like this. Like, it depends on the person and the even the switch. Like, for one person with DID, obviously switches can look drastically different depending on the circumstance. But it's just like a few little, I don't know.
Myself stupid.
Kitty.
I'm not calling you stupid. I'm calling myself stupid. I have to deal with my stupid shenanigans. Oh, leave it be.
You got you meeting Kyle on camera.
Yeah, we do.
And then in the other makeup video where Chloe was putting makeup on Nan,
Okay, so now they're talking about how, oh, there was this one video where alters met for the first time on camera. That got a lot of views. Let's do it again.
we
Yeah.
got Kyle meeting Nan for the first time on camera too.
That's true. That's
Ah.
true, huh?
People found that really funny as well. Because Nan was taking the piss out of Kyle's accent, and then Kyle came forward.
True.
And Nan was like, oh, sorry. He was going, Kyle.
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 Hi, my name is Kyle. Hey, I don't care about offending none.
Are you fucking sure?
And then Kyle comes out again. Are you guys confused? Am I making any sense? Because, like,
Hey, I know you could take the piss out of my accent real easy.
I was doing something.
okay, I'm sorry, guys. I don't think it's a Texan accent. I'm so sorry for the offense. But anyways, is there anything else? 1023.
I don't know what you were doing.
I was doing something inside, and now I'm fucking here, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
I'm saying.
Along with, in this clip, Kyle was just like, I was just pulled out and I was trying to do something on the inside. My question is that how inner worlds work? You know what I mean? Like, when you're in the inner world, are you actually can you recall, oh, I was just doing this in the inner world? Because I could be completely off base right now, but wouldn't it be difficult to, say you have 6 alters, whatever, and all of them are doing something different in the brain, and also simultaneously someone is fronting right now. Very complex disorder.
Stop taking the piss out of me when I'm nearby.
You're loved and cared about. You're important.
As are you.
But your accent is fun.
I'm so sorry anyone who's new to this. I don't know. I would say that I have made videos on dissociative, but all of them are kind of like not great explanations. I'm such a great advertiser for my own videos. Basically, I'm just wondering if this is how a switch works. And also, have a few questions, and then we're going to be reacting to someone who came up with like evidence of malingering for a person, not for dissociated, because do I look like I have a PhD? Like, actually, never mind. But that might have been weird to say.
No, it's not. My accent is perfectly normal. I don't have an accent.
Everyone has an accent.
Not me. I'm the only one in the world.
I don't know. Do I have an accent? Because I feel like I have a Chicago accent. Like, a lot of people say Chicago, not Chicago. Like, anyways. So now let's move on. It's over. We're done. I'm sorry, what is malingering? Malingering is, in this purpose, will be defined as both purposeful and misrepresentation and imitative DID. So basically, malingering could be you do have DID or any disorder, but in this case, DID. But you are exaggerating symptoms or faking some symptoms, or you're just completely imitating the disorder. So, I don't know. It should be noted that not all individuals who falsely assume a label of DID are consciously feigning the disorder. Really? Imitative DID, or a phenomenon in which individuals with... Okay, I'm confused by this. Can only people with cluster B personality disorder profiles assume the role of a DID trauma survivor? I feel like you don't need to have a cluster B personality disorder to fake a disorder, but moving on. If you don't know, a cluster B is narcissistic, histrionic, antisocial, borderline personality disorder. Individuals with imitative DID truly believe that they have DID and may have had this false belief reinforced by therapists or other concerned individuals. They may genuinely suffer from dissociative symptoms through their overall profile, though their overall profiles fail to match those of actual DID individuals, particularly in regards to more subtle symptoms. With deliberate feigners, those with imitative DID often show less shame or conflict regarding their supposed DID diagnosis. So, I should warn you guys that I am awful at reading. It's just bad. I mess up a lot, and I'm sorry if like that frustrates anyone. Hi, Jennifer. How are you doing today? I am in Chicagoland, so, it's fun. Okay, so basically, this person is taking these articles and aligning them with some symptoms dissociated has, but at the same time, this is all alleged. They have a score above 60 on the dissociative experiences scale. Dissociated's score is a 86. So basically, Dissociated made this video, and they were all like, okay, I'm gonna show you guys my diagnosis. And we were going through it, and some people noticed that I don't know. Wow, 3 ads? Is that even possible? Did you guys just see that? I've never seen 3 ads before. Most replayed. Why is this the most replayed? I don't want to really watch a lot of this because it is public on YouTube, and I do not want a copyright. What is this? Why, Michelle? Someone literally messaged me, and they were like, I can help you in the future. This is not the DES score, though. It is the SDQ20, because I literally messed up on one of my videos. Anyways, why, Michelle? Why?
We were reported missing by the plague. So alongside the emergency services searching for us, taken, assistive tools were used, and a very which is the device analysed using the amnesia, identity confusion, and identity alteration. The score at this level strongly suggests the presence of taxon. So it's based upon 5 factors: depersonalization, derealization, amnesia, identity confusion, and identity alteration. The score at this level strongly suggests the presence of a dissociative disorder. And
okay. I don't think we found it. Why, Michelle? Anyways, my point is, I think I did begin to do like the most basic level of research on this, which is the DES2, which is a test, a psychological self-assessment questionnaire that measures dissociative symptoms. So here are some questions that you can, anyways. And if you score higher than a certain, having a score high above 60 on the DES scale is classified as a sign of malingering. However, if we look up, what is malingering? Scale. I looked this up before, and why didn't I look it up? Okay, so clinical features suggesting a factitious disorder or malingering have included a score above 60 on the DES scale. However, it is not indicative of, like, I think for sure faking. Although I don't think I've personally, of like the few people that I have met online with DID, nobody has talked about having a score above 60. Although I would love to hear, like, is that a possibility? Like, does anybody actually have it? Have a score above 60 and you genuinely do have DID? And I think the reason for that is because you score everything, like, all the time, always. I don't know. Sorry, I'm reading y'all's comments at the moment. Thank you so much for being here. Your reading is great. Maybe when you're struggling, take a deep breath. It helps me. Just wait. I can read pretty good, but then my brain starts to go, no, this is too much. I could probably practice by actually reading things because I always do the read aloud. Anyways, why are we talking about this? So late. Thank you so much for even being here. Chicago! Honestly, how dare you? How's the convention? Is it just alive? Politics. I don't know, you guys. It's stressful in the USA right now. Anyways, sorry, I'm just reading you guys' comments. Oh yeah, no, like, and we can all, like, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us might agree that dissociative does their makeup very good. Not everything is black and white. Okay, so why am I on this page? Okay, let's go back. Tend to overreport well-known symptoms of the disorder or underreport others. So then they give very handy examples. For example, dissociative typically only talks about big symptoms like switches and dissociative seizures just recently, and rarely, if ever, reports experiencing the nuances of DID like gray-out amnesia. Which some people have said that dissociative only started talking about having dissociative seizures or non-epileptic seizures after other people on the internet with DID have talked about it. And I'm live right now, so it would be so awkward if I actually looked it up. But okay. Tend to create stereotypical alternate identities. And that's another one where I feel bad because it's like, if someone watching this is like, has stereotypical alternate identities and you're like, okay, am I faking it then? Like, what? So for example, dissociative had a collect them all approach with alters in the early days of their channel. They claimed to have an Asian alter, a Native American alter, an Indian alter, a mermaid alter, a unicorn, a fairy, a boy next door, etc. None of dissociative's alters actually act in a manner that smacks, trigger warning of talk of abuse. Smacks of abuse. Rather, all of their alters seem to be only what they wished they could have been or who they could have had nearby. While all of that is a valid type of alter, their system seems to contain no other types. Why is this reminding me of when Dissociated said that a lot of their alters were extremely pale? People watching this who don't know Dissociated are going to be like, what are you talking about, Michelle? Dissociated used to talk about how a lot of their alters are extremely pale, and then also one time posted on Instagram #PaleGirl, because I assume some people are attracted to pale, which is valid. Yeah, the whole Nadia situation. Didn't she say Nadia? I don't know about the whole Nadia thing, you guys. The whole Nadia situation where Nadia, basically people were saying that that they were being racist for some reason, allegedly, because Nadia had so many stereotypical Native American characteristics. Not stereotypical, inaccurate. You know how when people used to dress as an Indian, as a Native American on Halloween? I feel like I was just offensive just now. Oh my god. Why am I like this? Okay, so people are sharing their DES scores, and I don't know, they're under 60, let's put it that way. So, the individual seeking hospitalization or a DID diagnosis, bringing proof of a dissociative diagnosis to the consultation, having told persons other than close confidence about the alleged abuse or alleged dissociative diagnosis. So they bring an example. Dissociated did a fundraiser to pay for their consultation with Remy Acaron. They sought out their diagnosis and came into it already believing that is what was wrong. That is so true. There's so much lore that it's so hard to remember. All of this information, and I wasn't even a Dissociated fan until after they had their interview with Team Pinata, interview with Anthony Padilla. Very different people. So, and that's valid, because it's if you genuinely think you might have some sort of dissociative disorder, I don't think it's you're malingering if you thought you might have a dissociative disorder before going in for a consultation. But yes, I mean, in their fundraiser, they did say, we specifically are seeking, I think, allegedly for all entertainment purposes, they were we are seeking out a dissociative disorders diagnosis. Usually seem to enjoy the idea of having the disorder. People with DID often try to hide it. So, what do y'all think about this? Do people with DID often try to hide it? I mean, just from recent conversations I've had, people describe, and the experience is different for everyone, but you can be embarrassed because you don't remember certain things. People are I told you this earlier, and you're oh, you did? Or when you do switch, trying to pretend like you didn't, if you switch when you're out with other people or something. But it's hidden for you. Thank you so much for sharing. And also, to everyone who's commented, literally it means the world. And that's just a few symptoms you might have. Maybe some people do, but do you ever blatantly go, maybe to people you don't know, or to people on the internet? Well, I guess the internet's different, but would you blatantly go, I've just switched and now I am this person? Much like in this video.
And yeah, I
no, this isn't
to get
it.
a special wax sample. Hi everybody, welcome back to another video.
No, now we're gonna have to go through all of this again. I'm so sorry. I should have had this prepared.
This is Nadia, and I'm here with our best friend, Anna.
Maybe not get you worry about what you've done when you switched. If someone's amazing, everyone's been in.
Oh, I can't do it. It's not gonna happen.
moving, come get me.
Yeah, it was all quite dramatic, and then it kind of continued a bit throughout the night, and then
Thank you. You're welcome. It's very nice.
what's the one thing you tell non-DID friends not to do? It sounds very obvious, but yeah, just be chill about it. Even if it's one of the first times you're seeing someone switch
Actually, not exactly like the most chill.
Wait.
conversations about like religion
Wait.
about. It's like story time.
So this is basically an interview that Dissociative did with one of their friends way back in the day.
Story time.
So
with Anna and Nadia.
exactly. So
Okay.
Oh,
Chloe
it's
was-
already Nadia, no.
With me. That's helpful. Before I fuck, I always ask for consent. Follow my lead.
I will be spontaneous. That was so dramatic.
So I believe right now Chloe is out.
I've got Nadia in the back of my head. I don't know if you can tell.
The flamboyant.
You know what I mean? Like, you just got diagnosed with DID. Maybe you can tell exactly which alter is about to come out. I don't have DID. I've gotten people in the comments being like, I don't have DID. I do not have a dissociative disorder.
Elevated so bad.
Also, don't vape. I am going to quit on September 7th. You've heard it here.
Right, okay. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Sorry. I'm going to switch if I'm not careful.
Okay,
Lower
okay.
my energy levels. Chill.
It's fine.
Crap. I'm gonna
Nadia
go-
would know
Alright,
what she's
I've
doing
got to do
anyway.
this before Nadia comes
Okay.
out, because otherwise I'm going to fuck it up. Right. No.
She's coming.
No, it's not
Okay.
time to come.
Nadia, can you give it like 10 minutes, please?
Fine. Fine, I don't wanna. I wanna be in the collab.
Okay, do it.
I don't know. I mean, they obviously could have been co-conscious in this point, and it really does seem like they are, because Chloe was like, I can feel Nadia. Basically, the reason I have this video pulled up is because someone said that this is an example of how they didn't talk about having dissociative experiences before claiming having DID. And the friend said, I didn't realize you had DID until high school. What do we call secondary school in England? And uni. College in America, in the USA. Which is valid. Because, like, obviously when you go away to university, like, different things can happen. You are in a different situation, different circumstance. You might feel safer because you are out of an abusive situation. And therefore, you might have more or less symptoms. It could be more, because once you're out of the traumatic situation, you can feel like, your body feels like, okay, I can stop being constantly on overdrive. What am I talking about all of the time ever? Yeah, no, I if you vape, like, that's so valid. I'm just saying that if you are considering starting to vape, I would seriously consider not doing it, because, like, would you believe me if I told you that my therapist, okay, this is a long story, but when I did go to inpatient rehab facility for cannabis use, I know it's weird, but my therapist in rehab introduced me to vaping. She bought me, anyways, allegedly. Anyways, long story. So anyways, reporting alleged abuse that was inconsistent with medical or psychiatric history, or volunteering it's happening. Alleges of cult or ritualized abuse, and we are talking about it. And trigger warning, content warning for child's bad things, horrible things that a child can go through, along with RA and Ramcoa. Is that an okay trigger warning? So, example, the map that a little drew for Jamie, contained a dungeon with kids chained to barrels and people being drowned in a vat or something. Also, extreme overlap between established SRA satanic ritual abuse, not ritual abuse, but satanic concepts, and aspects of their inner world, like having a carousel and a mainframe to control memories. Those are highly specific to the Ramkoa conspiracy. So now we are going over Michelle's head. In the past, I have said that SRA, I would love if like Peggy was in the comments right now, but if you're not, that's valid. But that SRA did not happen. RA absolutely does happen, but satanic was, anyways. Yeah, I'm thinking it might have been Jamie from Multiplicity and Me, but I have no idea. Anyways, telling of alleged abuse without accompanying guilt, shame, or suffering, having been involved in community self-help groups. So, example, the many videos of them gleefully laughing while recounting their trauma. Plus, they were heavily involved in Facebook DID groups early on, particularly those centered around SRA. So, and this is alleged, I've talked about this before, but there have been people who have talked about, I'm not going to be able to find this, it's not going to happen, but I'm going to try, dissociated, oh, we found it. Well, this isn't it, but this is the drawing we were talking about. Joining these DID Facebook groups and going into their DMs and asking very personal questions. So, and my mom is texting me. I gotta tell her, I'm live, girl. Okay. My biggest issue with them is how much they trauma dump. I mean, that's valid, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know about the whole, obviously, if my friend wants to trauma dump to me, that's so valid. But, on the internet, I'm not sure about how valid, I don't know, I can't say you're not allowed to talk, I don't know. But I'm not going to be able to find it. Let's just be so real right now. Why do I even try at this point? Nope. There's so much. I don't even know what I'm looking for anymore. What am I looking for? Oh yeah, the people who they allegedly stole trauma from. I'm not gonna find it. Whatever. The point is that people came onto the Reddit and they were talking about how, okay, Dissociated asked me these questions about my trauma history, and then a year later, they had my exact alter, or they had my exact history. I'm sorry, I keep burping because I had a breakfast sandwich earlier. Wait. Oh my gosh, I was like, Ella? I'm like, you love because my cat is named Ella, so you are valid. Your name is so valid. Anyone that says they have DID immediately tells me it's bullshit, because I have multiple I do have multiple personality disorder and will never call it DID. I'm curious as to why, because isn't it now recognized as DID instead of MPD? Hello, thank you so much for being here, and I remember a stream where someone asked about childhood, and they went in too much detail about groups and so on. Yeah, so I mean, basically, I'm gonna stop talking about it because I can't really, I don't know, my opinion is obviously, we probably, most of us know my opinion, but did anyone see the video they made about having chronic fatigue disorder? They talked about it and then once and then never again. Right. They did make a video about having chronic fatigue. A lot of people were commenting and saying acting very tired right now, but this isn't exactly chronic fatigue. However, I would have to do more research on chronic fatigue in order to say whether or not I believe it is or not. And anyways, having obvious secondary gain in having a dissociative diagnosis. Example, monetary gain from their channel, which they immediately started upon being diagnosed. Okay. I was just reading in the comment section of somewhere that someone knew someone who, when they were in an inpatient stay, they knew someone who had a factitious disorder or malingering, and that person enjoyed going inpatient because it was like a little vacation. Anyone who has been inpatient, like, would you describe it as a vacation? Because it's like, what? It is so far from. I mean, I guess if it's a vacation from like your job or something, but it's like, I'd rather like freaking do like something. Like, I don't know, not go to the hospital, but yeah, I mean, so it's basically just like, maybe not in dissociative's case, but in a case like this, I'm pulling a Dr. Todd Grande. You enjoy the attention that people give you for being ill or having a mental illness. Bruh, I went inpatient and it's far from a vacation. Holy F. Absolutely. It's like exactly. I would rather stay home and sleep personally. Like, if you need inpatient, absolutely. Absolutely, but not for a vacation. Anyways, we're moving on. So using the first person over a range of effects. What? Affects, I'm sorry, I'm confused. If you're confused, then that's valid because I'm confusing myself. Affects the patient's immediate expression of emotion. Patients display a range of effect that may be described as broad, restricted, liable, or flat. I'm confused. My interpretation of this is that a malingering patient will refer to themselves in the first person regardless of what they're displaying. I'm not sure of how to demonstrate this point with an example. Okay, I'm confused. I might just move on at this point. It's like, what? Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot. But I can link these in the description, to be honest, you guys, if you are interested in reading. Effects? Oh. Affects the patient's immediate... I don't know. I'm so sorry. Being able to express strong negative affect. Individuals high in negative affect will exhibit, on average, I'm probably outing myself as not knowing anything about anything, higher levels of distress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction, and tend to focus on the unpleasant aspects of themselves, the world, the future, and other people, and also evoke more negative life events. Wait a second, I'm malingering. I'm a pessimist. I'm a huge pessimist. They frequently talk about the bad things that happen to them and how they are disabled in multiple ways. They often act in ways that cause them to experience new traumas, like going to BDSM clubs and staying on the internet when it is clearly unsafe. Oh my god, that's so me! Oh my god, because you guys are all gonna unsubscribe. I do that. I introduce, because I have struggled with boundaries. So like my job right now, like I can basically go home at any time I want to, but I struggle with boundaries so much that I'll just be so upset about it all day and just not say that I want to go home. Everyone just unsubscribed. Victim complex, absolutely. No, I wouldn't say I have a victim complex, but no, in the case of dissociative, it is a little bit different than my experience. What am I trying to talk about? They frequently talk about bad things that happen to them. Yeah, I don't know about that. Like, why? I'm sorry if I'm, like, screaming into the mic, by the way. Okay, wait, why am I offline? Do I not have internet? Please, God. Sometimes my internet just cuts out for no reason. Okay. From the literature I've seen, it seems to stem from lack of attention or friendship as a child. When people embellish their lives to make it more interesting, likable, it can snowball out of control, to the point you're claiming to have disorders, stealing people's lived experiences, etc. Thank you so much for sharing that. That makes complete sense. Openness about the disorder and one's trauma history. Example, the channel. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this in the past. I don't know, because I've said people with DID might, when you get diagnosed, you might not want to tell every single person in your life, like getting, posting it on your Facebook page with all of your friends and family. A lot of people do, but some people won't, because first of all, it's deeply personal. Second of all, it can open you up to, for example, someone who might be manipulative in your life, and they realize that, okay, this person has amnesia, I might be able to easily manipulate them. So the EA app is just like that. Oh my God, you guys. Yeah, but The Sims. No, honestly. No, that would be great. Like, I can always take more education. I despise the fact that I have given misinformation in the past. I have dissociative amnesia, which is a far cry from DID, but it was nice knowing I don't have a brain tumor or something. Absolutely. And in the past, I've said that people with DID, when they're getting diagnosed, they get brain scans. I said it was to make sure that they don't have a tumor that might be causing these symptoms you think is DID, which is true. But also what is true is that different parts of the brain light up when there are different alters out, which we're going to talk about here. You can actually tell if someone is malingering through brain scans, I think. Trying to prove that one has the desired diagnosis. Example, the channel, they started right after being diagnosed, plus publicly fundraising for their diagnosis appointment. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I've heard from people who, like, they got diagnosed multiple times with DID and they did not believe it, or they would forget because amnesia. This is just one person's story though, like other people's might be different, or you just might be in denial of it. You're like, no, I don't have that. That's not my experience, because like me viewing it from a third person, you can see the different alters, but if you are one alter and you switch and you have like, your brain conveniently doesn't realize it has amnesia. I don't know. Okay. Dramatic, stereotypical, or bizarre symptoms. Exaggeration. Example, when switching, their head drops and they loll around like a puppet without a hand until someone comes into the body. Then they become reanimated and exaggerated emotions, either overly happy or overly sad. No, like, so valid, Plague. Like, for example, Bobo and Co. Like, I have heard from people with DID that are like, it's different being on the internet, and I completely vouch for this. Like, I tend to have sort of an anxiety that is provoked by other people. Like, if I was sat in a lecture room right now with all of you staring at me, I would be freaked out. But the fact that there's a camera between us, like, makes me feel so much safer. And also, it's the internet. Anyways, so yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna move on from that because I don't want to like offend anybody. Excessively dramatic behavior. Example, at the DID sleepover, they had a flashback, hurt Bobo during this, got SH'd, got sick and made multiplicity and me drive them back and forth separately, and in general had to be the center of attention. Okay. I mean, that could just be a genuine experience. I think that what this person is getting at is with all of these adding up, it's like, okay, we're, you know, because like if you do have this experience, it's not your fault. If you have a flashback, or if you know, you can't walk, you might need to use a, like a walking device, like that's not your fault. But at the same time with dissociative, it's like all of these on top of each other. Not having symptoms of co-morbid posttraumatic stress disorder. Labelle indifference. Labelle indifference is defined as a paradoxical absence of psychological distress despite a serious mental illness or lack of a health condition. What did I just read? Okay, no, that makes sense. Example. Telling your audience about symptoms they experience without ever being seen experiences those symptoms. Example, Soren pacing and claiming to have a panic attack from filming but not showing any physiological signs of panic. Yeah, no, and I was like reacting to that. It's like, I don't have the video. I do have the video. Looking up myself. Why? Why am I like this? Always.
Wix gives you the power.
Shout out to Wix. Shout out always.
I'm panicking. Please, if I laugh, I won't cry. Who's gonna step in to help me film? Don't think about it. I'm staring at a camera. How can I not think about it? This whole thing is uncomfortable. You just gotta do it.
All right. So now you got two Michelles on the screen. How does that make you feel? I don't know. Like, in my opinion, and a lot of people can, I don't know. When you are with someone or you're seeing someone online crying, for example, some of us might feel like we want to start crying too, or we might feel a very empathetic response. But I mean, with dissociative in this clip, it just feels like, I could be totally wrong, but I explain it in this video. So dissociative is claiming that it is triggering for them to film. So let's take a look at our handy dandy autonomic nervous system worksheets. In this situation, let's assume they're in fight, flight, or hyperfreeze. Primary state, react. Okay, so I love this chart. My therapist showed it to me. You can't see the bottom left. That is really annoying. I'm so sorry. Okay, so here we have, oh no, I'm not gonna be able to get my picture back up, what the fuck? When you're having kind of a flashback, you could be in hypofreeze, hyperfreeze, fight, flight, I don't know, like just one of these. And that is when your body is saying there is a threat to your life. Back to danger, await opportunity to escape. You are tense or rigid like a deer in the headlights. Your breathing might be fast, often in upper chest, or even hyperventilation. Your heart rate might be quick and forceful, pupils very dilated, eyes dry, eyelids tensed or raised. This can be a reason why some of us feel like we can literally see tunnel vision when in this state. Sweat may be cold or cold sweat. You'll see a dry mouth or skin. You might be in terror and have dissociation. Your contact with yourself or others might be limited or not likely. Your frontal cortex, which is responsible for things like judgment or maintaining social appropriateness, might be inaccessible. So yeah, they switch out into Sally, an alter who is supposed to calm them down.
My name is Sally. My role, I'm technically a protector, but I'm more of an inner caretaker. I used to exist primarily to soothe Chloe.
That's another thing people were talking about, was like an inconsistency that they feel with that is with dissociative is that, I don't know if my face should be big or small, but do alters exist specifically to protect the host? Like in the past, I don't think they talk about it a lot anymore, but they talk a lot about how my purpose as Kyle or as Sally is to soothe the Littles and Chloe. which I could definitely, like, as a person without DID, I can see how I would believe that, because it's like the purpose of the host is to live day-to-day life. I'm sorry, I was reading Miss Ella's comments. You can't control when another alter takes over and have no memory of it. If you have more than 3 to 5, then you'd be in a state hospital. Seriously, valid. Hi, Heidi. Thank you so much for being here. This live is happening right now, and that's cool. I think that it's possible, but I don't have DID, so. Right, like, there's only so much that people without DID who are not professionals in specifically dissociative disorders can say, right?
Hello everybody, welcome back to another video by DissociaDID.
And she just... Also the fact that they know, like, they knew off the bat what their role was as an alter, like, when they made the diary, they were able to go back and say, okay, they wrote in the diary, I am this alter, this is my role, this is my personality, this is what I look like. It's like, I don't know, it kind of confuses me in a way, because it's like, isn't the point of DID before diagnosis and before, like, the therapeutic process to be hidden from the person? So it's like, why right after the diagnosis would they be so happy and chill with introducing themselves? I could be totally off base here. Continues filming. I don't know. Do with this what you will. Today we are going to be... Okay, that's it. So... Is my face still on here? Yeah. Persistent lying, or pseudologia... I always pronounce this wrong. Pseudologia, fantasia, or compulsive lying. Example, dissociative continues to feign ignorance of the existence of Piñata's worst art. So if you don't know anything about Team Piñata, trigger warning for... I can't even say it, and I can't ask you to look it up to know what it means. CP. If you know, just for really... I can't even describe it. I can't, like... Team Piñata drew very questionable pictures, basically. A lot of people told them how bad it was, and every time that someone told them, they acted like it was the first time, allegedly. Entropy told them point blank how bad it was, but then they told Braided they weren't aware of the severity, so Braided made them aware. Then they went on to me, this person who is Dissociated's ex-friend, and said that they had no idea and acted shocked, which I can't, like, say that's not valid, because if something like traumatic happens to you, I do understand the amnesia aspect. But this person who was Dissociated's ex-friend, basically Dissociated did a 5-hour live stream more recently, like 2 weeks ago. And they were like, they basically, in their opinion, this is completely their opinion, but they said that they broke an NDA, even though the NDA they had just written as friends. It wasn't like a court thing. And basically, in this person's opinion, they really just over-exaggerated certain stuff. But obviously, I'm not there. There's two sides to every story. So... I'm confused. Is this the same person that talked about being Dissociated's friend a bit ago? Yeah. So, and that's another thing, is like, I can only see what is on social media, so I could be wrong, all alleged. I know that's probably getting annoying, but... Braided, who else? A lot of people in the DID community. This friend who is writing this letter, this Reddit page post, they all had a falling out with Dissociated, and Dissociated kind of, I have to be so careful with this, alleges or alludes to the idea that these people were like emotionally manipulative or like they were just bad friends or something like that. And like, I'm so completely like using my own words here, but you know what I mean? It's like, if everyone in your life is the problem, there might be a common denominator. You know what I mean? Like with me and my boundary issues. I find issues with people and then I'm like, wait, they're actually being normal and I'm the one who has bad boundaries. I know, that's a good point. Like, I've never seen anyone who used to be friends with dissociated. Actually, that's not true. To completely say, like, I think that they're malingering. I don't know if that's what they're saying. They're just alleging, but anyway. Legal problems. Example, Sergio sending Bobo a cease and desist. Wait a second. Wasn't the thing to... Anyways, moving on. That's alleged. Selective amnesia. Example, they seem to only have amnesia for things they think they ought to have amnesia about. Example, they will say they had amnesia when their littles came out and spent money, or when Kyle had a banana in the bathtub, but won't have amnesia for minutia in the way PWDID generally do. Yeah, that was another question I had. Like, this is just so stupid and tiny. But in the Anthony Padilla interview, Kyle basically said, I switched and I realized I was in a bathtub. Or I'm sorry, Nin realized because she switched from Kyle, who was taking a bath. Why am I so confusing when I talk? I'm not actually mad at myself, you guys. I was like just being... Actually, I kind of am frustrated with how I can be so confusing when I talk. But anyways, Kyle was in the bathtub taking a bath, eating a banana, and then they switched to Nin. And Nin was like, whoa, why are we eating a banana in the bathtub? However, they do have an alter called Murmur, who is the only alter who they introduced Murmur years later after the Anthony Padilla interview. And Murmur apparently is a mermaid who is the only alter who will shower the body and have like that hygiene. And so they kind of have to force Murmur out in order to take a shower. Allegedly, I don't know. I just say allegedly because like this is all from Michelle's memory, which is weird. And that just makes me question why Kyle was in the bath, if it's a trigger to be in a, like, it's completely valid to be triggered by bathroom events. I completely understand that. But then why was Kyle in the bath? Isn't that a trigger? Lack of consistent work history. Example, they can do... Wait, you guys are... You're doing great, Michelle. Hi, Duder. It's so nice to see you here. Thank you so much. The effort is there. Lack of consistent work history. Example, they can do their channel and barely that. They've taken break after break and have no prospects to gain employment should their channel ever fail. I don't have much to say about that because a lot of people with certain mental illness might not be able to work. Although somebody did say, it is interesting how Dissociated said something about not being able to work due to their trauma, but YouTube is work. Like, scripting a video, filming it, editing it, all of that is work. So, and they're doing quite a good job at it. So doesn't that mean that in the UK, do they have a thing where you can go into a job registry or they can set you up with a job that would work good for you and your disability? I could be just pulling that out of my you-know-what, though. Hello, thank you so much for making the live, you guys. It actually means so much to me. You are permanently banned from the Reddit? Really? That's honestly valid. Reddit is questionable sometimes. Not the dissociated Reddit, just Reddit in general. Refusal of collateral interviews. Psychiatric disorders, this is a quote, psychiatric disorders usually do not have characteristic physical exam findings, imaging, or lab values. Psychiatrists therefore diagnose and treat patients largely based on reported or observable behavior, which makes collateral information from a patient's close contacts especially pertinent to an accurate diagnosis. The American Psychiatric Association considers communication with patients supports a best practice when the patient provides informed consent or does not object to the communication. However, situations arise in which a patient's objection to such communication is the product of impaired decision-making, and the benefits of obtaining collateral information represent best practice. Did that make sense? I hope that made sense. Honestly valid. Like, some people might like Reddit. Like, obviously I enjoy going on Reddit because it's like I'm on Reddit right now. But example, we know that dissociatives sought their diagnosis from Remy Acaron, who does not use collateral interviews as a diagnostic tool. Also, with their paper defending self-diagnosis of DID, we can really extrapolate, I shouldn't have tried to read that aloud, that they never have and never would be willing to allow clinicians to interview their friends and family to assess the validity of their diagnosis. That is so interesting. That's wild. What the heck? I'm sorry, I'm reading Ella's comment again. I gave my full childhood experience and I was reported twice because I was promoting... What? I'm so sorry. No, you guys were reacting to that comment, my bad. I know, they knew I was going to read this. No, I'm kidding. That is such a victim complex. That's not probably... I'm not using that word in the correct terms. Anyways... lack of prior dissociation. We don't have any way to assess this. However, oh no, this is just the interview with their friend. Basically, in this interview, they talk about their friend realizing that they have DID and how things have changed, and I think throughout the interview, I don't think they talked about, the friend didn't say, you had no symptoms of dissociation, but they did say, I didn't realize that you had any symptoms of some sort of dissociative disorder, which is valid.
I need mittens. What was your initial reaction when Chloe opened up about her DID with you? When was the first time I remember you mentioning it, I suppose, when you were at... Yeah, but we didn't really know what it was. Yeah. It was something that had kind of been... I think someone had suggested it.
Yeah, a therapist had suggested it to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, right, okay then, cool. And I told you about it, but I was still in denial about it.
Yes. So... And I don't think at that stage either of us really knew what it was.
No, we were just kind of like, oh, okay, that's...
I kind of felt like it didn't make a difference because you were still you and... I hadn't met any of them, so I just didn't really know what it meant. When we were both at uni together, that was the first time I'd properly met the alters.
And at uni was when they got diagnosed, so it's like you only properly met one of the alters once they were diagnosed. Valid, just coincidental.
Which, it was a bit of a shock, I must admit. Yeah, it was a big shock. Oh, there's a nice little honk in the background. I just never encountered anything like it before, and all of a sudden it was Chloe, but she was talking like a child, and it was very bizarre because I'd just never seen anything like it.
Who was the first person you met?
One of the littles.
Okay.
Did she not? In a different interview, I thought she said that she had met Nadia in high school because sometimes Nadia would be out and she'd be super excited and energetic, and then other times they would call the Chloe depressed Chloe because she wasn't as excited as Nadia. I don't know, I'm confused. Yes, I'm so sorry to anyone who has messaged me on Instagram. I'm assuming you messaged me on Instagram. I'm signed out of it right now, but I will sign back in and get back to you guys because it's like very unprofessional and weird of me not to do that. But TBF, there are cases in which interviewing family, etc., might be deemed unsafe for the patient, so we do have to take that into account. They seem to only talk about stuff after they are confronted about it being weird. Fair. Thank you for explaining what a victim complex is. And, yes, I very much appreciate that. I mean, DID is meant to hide itself and mask, so that makes sense that this friend wouldn't know until it's safe to. Okay, fair enough. I do appreciate that. Oh, damn. Victim complex is a disorder? Word? I need to do more research on that. Thank you.
I think it did kind of freak me out because I just didn't know what was going on. I was
okay, so now we've done that, and we can go back up to Lou. Okay. No, why? Sorry, I'm like screaming into the mic. Okay. So need to assume a sick role. Example. Wait, didn't I already read this? The sleepover, carrying their cane everywhere, telling everyone about their disabilities and diagnoses, making their illness the topic of every conversation. I've heard people online being like, this is not very important, but people online are like, people who fake certain disorders, they make the disorder their entire personality, which I'm like, valid, that's valid. Because you are so much more than your mental illness. However, for a lot of people with severe disorders, it can be your entire life. You know what I mean? Like, it affects your life on such a huge basis. However, like, I don't know, I'm moving on. Medico-legal motivation to be labeled as having DID. Example, they thought having a special diagnosis would get them special treatment from uni, but it didn't. Now, having DID demands that the police, courts, etc., they are involved with recognize the condition and treat them with kid gloves accordingly. Okay, I don't know, maybe it's not, victim complex is not a disorder, I don't know. Me Googling it. Okay, anyways, this is unrelated to the video. How to get rid of a victim. Self-care and compassion, always. I'm going to move on from that one. Demanding and deprecating attitudes towards caregivers. Example, their anger from Dr. at McLean when he published his lecture. They were also often disparaging their therapist in chat with me. Really? Interesting. Inconsistencies within symptoms. Example, they are so inconsistent with symptoms they posted on TikTok and how they think it's part of their disorder. Also, the fact that there are so many, as you can see on this drive, there are so many like years that dissociative's been on the internet. So there are certain things that you can say like they do present differently from when they first started, although one can argue that, you know, they obviously people change and people's symptoms and their disorder changes. Okay. It probably mentions them as symptoms of another disorder instead of their own disorder. Word. Being affected by a disorder 100% of your life doesn't mean that's all you have to talk about. I sure don't. Ask me about video games or my latest trip outside in my wheelchair or whatever else. Very fair. Like, I mean, yeah. What's the clinical name of the disorder I'm talking about? I'm talking about DID. I don't know if you were talking... Maybe you're not talking to me. You might be talking to Ella. I am really curious if they have a therapist and how long they've been with a therapist. Yes, hello. It is nice to see you. I get so nervous when streaming, but I'm like, the first 5 minutes, I'm like, but now I'm chill. Like, it's fine. We're fine. So anyways, people do pick out inconsistencies with dissociative that off the top of my head I cannot point out, so all alleged. Refusing psychological treatment. Example, despite Remy's questionable ability to accurately diagnose DID, dissociative will not go obtain testing from a specialist. When they said they were diagnosed by the NHS, I imagine it was a very exaggerated way of saying it was on their hospital paperwork. However, most hospitals will mark down self-reported diagnoses. Mine did when I went because I self-reported DID after being diagnosed by my psychologist/trauma specialist at the time. But that doesn't mean they tested me or diagnosed me themselves. And I think that's what happened with dissociative. They self-reported their Pottergate diagnosis and ended up on their discharge paperwork, which they paraded around like a trophy win. Anyone who has ever been knows they... I'm sorry, I have something on my mind. It is interesting how they do claim they were diagnosed by the NHS, but in their diagnosis video where they're sharing their diagnosis scores, they only shared from Remy. I think. Allegedly. Anyone who has ever... Anyways, anyone who has ever been knows you only keep... They only keep you from hurting yourself and medicate you. Maybe some group therapies and a counseling session. Are we talking about the NHS, like inpatient? Yeah, because if we are talking about inpatient, has anyone ever been diagnosed inpatient? Like, what's your experiences with that? Oh, the ex-friend that's posting this? Well, because they used to be dogs with dissociative, so it's like, why wouldn't you believe someone like your friend? I don't know. And I don't know that that their ex-friend genuinely believes they're faking. This is just their opinion. And also, they said their definition of malingering is both purposeful misrepresentation of DID and imitative DID. So I lost my place. Numerous hospitalizations. This in the comments people were a little sus about because it's like, when you have a trauma-based disorder, chances are you have been hospitalized once, maybe a few times, maybe a lot, I don't know, depending on the person. But example, IIRC, they were hospitalized for the Omega attempt and in 2021. Most of my diagnoses were inpatient. Valid. Thank you for sharing. Wouldn't they get triggered while editing videos where alters talk about trauma memories they hold, unless they all know how to edit? That's a good question. Who edits the videos? Okay. So, lack of previous psychiatric history. IIRC, what is that? What is this? Oh, okay. If I remember correctly, of course I knew that. If I remember correctly, dissociative says everything started happening to them at once, and before that, they've always been tough as boots, Chloe. We've never received info about previous psychiatric diagnoses, with the exception of them forgetting they were diagnosed with BPD at first. That's another great question, is that I could have sworn, maybe it is a false memory, that dissociated said they were diagnosed with BPD, but then later they did an interview on the Sanity podcast they had with Team Pinata. They apparently didn't have BPD because in the interview they were only talking about Team Pinata's experience with BPD. So anyways, my question is, why don't you talk about your BPD diagnosis? Like, why do you only specifically talk about DID and you never talk about BPD anymore actually at all? You know what I mean? Because as Pixie Lux said in one of their videos, apparently BPD doesn't get the clicks like DID does. I don't know. No hate to Pixie Lux. I'm just quoting one of their videos. For me, it was more reliable because they actually had time to properly examine me. A 20-minute appointment isn't really enough. Yeah, like, I'm so confused. You know when you see a psychiatrist and they're like, sometimes they'll be like, yeah, I'm gathering that you might have X disorder. And it's like, but we just met though. Like, how do you, like, where are my tests? Where are, like, how do you just look at someone and for 5 minutes? I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist. I could be so off base right now. I was diagnosed while inpatient, but still had worked with the same doctor for about 5 years. I still got all the testing too. Thank you for sharing, Heidi. That's definitely a different experience from what I just said about like the 5-minute discussion with a psychiatrist. Allegedly. Thank you, Duder. Even if they don't have BPD, it's a disorder not spoken of much. Absolutely. It's really sad because people with BPD can really suffer. My sister is really affected by it. Absolutely. Like, it is another incredibly stigmatized disorder. And, like, I've seen this meme that was like a person with BPD going online to find support groups. This is a horrible joke. It's not even a joke. Why do I put myself in these situations? But it's like you go online and try to find a support group for people with BPD, and you only find support groups for people who know someone with BPD. That wasn't funny. 0 people were like, what? I'm so sorry. Editing that out later? No, I don't know. Yes, thank you. There is a lot of negative stigma around BPD. Why are we talking... Yeah, why do psychiatrists usually slap on temporary general diagnosis of depression or anxiety? And, and then they further investigate when treatment doesn't work. Exactly. I think they talked about BPD all the time. People got bored. Talking about being impulsive and having mood swings is not as interesting as talking about the people in your head, you know? Absolutely. Anyways, last one. Reporting dissociative symptoms inconsistent with the reporting on the dissociative experience scale. Okay. Very fair. The psychiatrist generally will see you for obviously more than 5 minutes. That was an exaggeration. I'm so sorry. Usually they'll have like a whole background. They'll ask you questions, and in that case, that would be more accurate. But still, for things like PTSD, don't you need to take like multiple tests? Psychs have a short list of what they are considering until they rule each one out, and it changes over time, maybe? No, you're right, and you should say it. I know, but it's like, I don't have BPD, so I feel like it's only when I can't joke. I can't. Anyways, so as I said, reporting dissociative symptoms inconsistent with reporting on the DES. Their brand of switching, being co-con, having an inner world, etc., is not congruent with how the DES describes this phenomenon. They have exaggerated experiences, seem to always know which alter is doing what, and in general have extremely detailed knowledge of how they experience DID. The DES describes more confusion and ambiguity than dissociative has ever displayed. So out of 36 clinical symptoms of DID malingering, according to this person, which is on Reddit, so grain of salt, everyone, 32 positive symptoms, 4 observable symptoms, and 0 symptoms verified not present. Okay. So. No, I cannot joke about BPD. What are you guys talking about? Because BPD is highly distressing to live with if you are not seeking help. And anyways, some of the criteria, someone commented on this and said, some of the criteria on this list seem a bit odd. Like, the multiple hospitalizations seem to be something I'd expect for someone with severe trauma. No, I don't know. Maybe I just don't get it. If anyone could explain to me, I'd be happy to listen. Oh, okay, so this is the person's story I was talking about earlier. I met a woman who was diagnosed with malingering once, and she had mental health hospitalizations at least once a year. When I met her, it was her 9th hospitalization in 7 years back in 2018. And I know for a fact by this point she broke the 15th mark, and at the very least possibly having around 20 hospitalizations or more. She claimed she liked being there because it felt like a vacation. And when asked why she doesn't take an actual vacation, she would say that no one cares for you after you come home from vacation, but everyone does when you come home after being in a mental hospital. I can feel the cringe. No offense to anyone with a malingering disorder, because, like, valid, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Thank you. You have to remember professionals have to abide by state, federal laws and regulations and insurance policies for every individual, which is different for everyone. Absolutely. Thank you. Nurses and doctors absolutely knew she was malingering. It was obvious even to patients, as she admitted herself that every time life became complicated, she would claim that she would, trigger warning for faking an unalive attempt. She would make an attempt on her life just to get admitted and try to convince everyone how great of a life it was. But due to legal reasons in my country, they couldn't actually risk going through with it and had to let her in. Based on that, I would say dissociative doesn't actually fit the criteria for what multiple hospitalization means. Okay. Anyways. Valid. Yes. I have read somewhere that a high number, your percentage is 90% of people with DID have attempted unalive, and they have high rates of hospitalizations. Yes. I have never been to a mental hospital, but I can imagine they would seek out visits to a psych ward for evidence or validation, whereas someone with a disorder might avoid it. Yes, I can see that. Yes, I wonder why dissociative doesn't make a video about what therapy is like for them, like entropy. I've said this before, but when I learn something from my therapist, I'm like so quick to share it with you guys, because I'll like sprinkle it in though. Like, I might not say my therapist told me this, but it's like, I don't know. And my channel is not centered around my mental health, but if it was, like dissociatives is on education for DID, but you know what I mean. Wouldn't you want to talk about, okay, this is my experience in therapy, this is, what we're working with, maybe this will help you. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe that's off base. But it is interesting how in one video, dissociative was talking about what they're doing in therapy, and they were talking about how they were doing EDMR therapy. And basically in the video, I think they said something like, no, I'm sorry. It's EMDR, dissociative called it EDMR. So basically they mixed up the letters, which some people were like, why would you mix up the letters of something that you're genuinely doing? Like, I'm not in EMDR therapy. I'm actually kind of cringing at myself for spelling it wrong, but anyway. I don't know. What else do we have here? If you guys are down, I could read this person who says that they were misguided by DissociaDID. How long have I been live, though? Like, let's be so real with ourselves. 1 hour and 29 minutes. Whew. We have dozens of admissions, sometimes for years, mostly because of self-harm. We were misdiagnosed schizoaffective until 18, and now we're 42. Now diagnosed with CPTSD and dissociative. Oh my gosh, I just realized I didn't put my thing on the entire video. Oh my god. Sorry if it's been super loud and annoying this entire video. Okay. Yeah, like that's a great point, is a lot of people might be misdiagnosed because of various reasons. Yes, attempted unalive does coincide with other disorders as well. It makes for a good reason to be careful when regarding DID, but not proving it. Absolutely. I went inpatient in my teenage years, and one girl there got in there but complained for 2 days that everyone in there was so depressed and she wanted to party. All right, you know what? Audio been poppin'? Has it though? Because whenever I say P, like the audio like goes like crazy. It freaks out. Okay. So now I'm going to read from one person's experience who says they were misguided by DissociaDID. Anyway, someone just said, I was misdiagnosed with depression for a few years before I got diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Okay. Yeah, and there are insurance reasons that people might not be kept longer valid. Greetings. I am sorry if this topic was already discussed, but I wanted to share my story as well as listen to yours. Maybe we can cheer each other up a little. Dissociated content is objectively harmful, and I know it firsthand. Watching their videos in the past made me very skeptical about DID and also hindered my own diagnostic process. Being the most famous DID creator, they were the reason I didn't even try to research DID, thinking it was absolutely nothing to do with me, and probably it was just a fairy tale diagnosis anyway. I watched them describe in detail what was actively happening in their inner world, how alters live there while not fronting, how they have complex relationships, how their inner world has rules and functions as a real place, mysterious and sometimes unpredictable. It all seemed so strange. I couldn't find a scientific explanation, like how can a human subconscious manifest itself so vividly, forming coherent storylines, stable visual imagery, have impact on the body, and do everything mentioned without any willful input or purposeful creative thought process. As an artist, I was prone to daydreaming or spending time thinking about imaginary worlds, scenarios, adventures, but it was always me willingly using my imagination. So I couldn't relate to their inner world experiences at all. After getting my diagnosis and spending time reading / watching more scientific content, I came to realize that inner world is indeed willingly created and is a method you can use to work with your subconscious, emotional baggage, alter communication, etc., etc. It was all just a fantasy, not a real place or another dimension. Also, people with DID can use their inner world meditations and practices to learn more about themselves too. Okay, so I don't know about that though, y'all. Like, What? Y'all saying for real? Because I thought that inner worlds, I'm always so careful about this because I don't know, but I feel like inner worlds can absolutely be default. In fact, I just made a video talking about how inner worlds are default. Am I off base right now? Anyways, so this might be misinformation about inner worlds, although I do understand that you might be able to create or discover an inner world through therapy, like not allegedly, but this might be misinformation right now. I watched them know everything about their alters, their age, looks, gender, and personal preferences, taste, habits, roles, worldviews, the time they have split or fused, etc. It was a very colorful cast of characters too. Many of them weren't explained at all as to why the brain created this exact image or how it correlates with the real experiences with Chloe themselves. As a whole human being, I thought, well, I have never believed that I am a middle-aged man or a demon or a little child. This sounds absolutely insane. Probably it's either schizophrenia or made up eccentric stuff. I might have said the wrong word. Now I know that, for example, age-regressed alters don't even acknowledge their view on themselves, or most often, they can't formulate what is happening to them or how they feel. I used to think that it wasn't me being a child alter, but rather, such weird, unexplainable hysterics. Only through therapy I could get a chance to identify my scared states, my productive and reasonable states, my emotional hurt states, my overly enthusiastic states and eager states, and sudden changes between them as switches. Because alters are just that, alternative identity states, not different characters living inside your head. Am I completely off base right now, you guys? Because what? Like, no, alters are not different characters living inside your head. I'm gonna read the comments after this and correct any misinformation. Like, I've heard people say, like, I don't like being called an alter because I'm real. Like, I'm here just as much as you are. But at the same time, the reason I use alternative state is because, why is my brain doing this? Yes, you are 100% a person, but you are part of a fractured mind. I don't know what I'm talking about ever. Not different characters living inside your head. And yes, they can have different ages, genders, and appearance, but those are very subconscious and metaphorical, closely tied to alters functions, and aren't registered by consciousness without, again, your purposeful self-analysis. All right. We like the term parts, honestly. Yes, thank you. Like, everybody, I'm sure everybody who has DID might want a different term used, and that's completely valid. We do have an inner world. I'm reading comments right now. We do have an inner world, absolutely. We experience it a little differently, I think. Again, not sure because I do not know any of my alters personally, hence amnesia. Very valid, thank you. Not everyone has an inner world, but they can range wildly. I haven't gotten there in therapy, but working personally, I barely see anything. Thank you so much for sharing. You can work on it, but we use it as a place to talk and rest when we are not co-conscious. Thank you. Okay, I don't believe an inner world is default for DID. Definitely for TikTok DID, as regardless of how real it may be, it's still good content. Okay. That is valid. I appreciate that. Like, Yeah, some people with DID might not experience an inner world. I've heard some people who don't have DID can experience an inner world. Anyways, she was also talking about their trauma symptoms and with such tragic tone and such dark colors. At first, I felt sorry for them. I couldn't even imagine what it was like to live through such pain. I couldn't possibly have the same disorder as them because I wasn't traumatized enough. Well, ironically, being the host, I simply don't have access to my most painful experiences and emotions. Everything always seemed fine to me. Even after 2 unalive attempts, yeah, DID does that to you, and watching dissociated content without any previous knowledge about DID, it's very easy to get wrong impressions. Creators need to be more specific and thorough when talking about the effects dissociation has on you, how trauma can be perceived, and how you can try to get a somewhat objective picture of your mental state while being only one alter with a cropped memory and worldview. Yeah, these were my 3 main reasons dissociated made me confused, and I would maybe never get my diagnosis and proper help if not for pure luck. I met a great therapist who suggested that I very well can have CPTSD, and she would also recommend I look for my anger because I can't get angry even if I try. That's what made me actually read some books on trauma and also get in contact with my alter, who keeps most of our anger. But that's entirely a different story. What is important, dissociated makes a very bad and very real impact on how people perceive DID, and it's bothering me. I would like to know, did their content affect your life or therapy in some ways? Thank you for your attention and patience. All right, what do y'all think? Oh my gosh, I relate to the I can't get angry thing. No, like, I forget where I seen it. It was like something like unrelated, and they were like, I just don't get angry. But it comes out in different ways of your life, or if you do have DID perchance, you do have I don't know, maybe I'm completely missing mark here, but you might have an alter who expresses anger. Some people might not. None of the alters do. It's just suppressed or repressed. Ooh. Anyways. Okay, so that is so valid. I wanted to watch this YouTube video about why you should not use the term unalive in a YouTube video. The reason I do it is so that, like, the video is not restricted. However, a lot of people say that using that term makes the seriousness of it seem less serious. So that is completely valid. I don't know. Maybe in the future I should just start, like, bleeping it out or something. I'm really detached from my feelings, not DID though. Thank you for sharing. That is, I can't say, you know what I mean? I'm sorry that you're going through that. Our therapy journey concentrated on co-consciousness and communication as number 1, along with safety. I think that's because we live alone. Anyways, back in the mid-90s, I was given a JCPenney catalog and was instructed to create an inner world/house. We have a conference room, a switching/revolving door, and each alter has decorated their bedroom. Thank you so much for sharing, Heidi. Like, apparently, I don't know anything about inner worlds, apparently. So someone said, dissociated's content did make me question my own diagnosis. The first specialist who diagnosed me explaining that people around me hadn't known since most DID cases weren't obvious, and through research, I figured I was covert. However, dissociated would claim things like how their alters would all pretend to be the host and would present covertly. I didn't relate to their DID. I figured, oh, covert is clearly not as covert as I thought. Mine may have been a misdiagnosis. I didn't have a constant inner I didn't have constant inner world events. The names of all my alters, 6+ switches a day, new fusions and splits, alters who would come out to introduce themselves, etc. I do think, edit, not that these things can't happen, but I didn't relate, and they didn't make an attempt to show that it's not exactly common to have all of that happening at the time. I do think overt presentations obviously exist, and you can somewhat choose to closely hide or to be more open about it, but dissociative's DID obviously is not anywhere near covert and as popular as they've become. I think it's somewhat irresponsible of them to not make it clear that not only are they not a covert system, but the fact that they are so overt is actually significantly less common. That's if you believe they have DID for the sake of the argument. It bothers me that they've made themselves the face of DID without making any attempts to educate on what typical DID looks like and how the way they present is considered more rare. Okay, that's valid because overt symptoms absolutely exist. Overt DID. Not everyone likes the term systems. I don't know these abbreviations. I'm sorry, Ella. So my question is, do alters typically do that when you have DID? Do they pretend to be the host? I mean, I definitely know it does happen with cases of DID, but is it the most common experience? I'm not sure. Because like I said, the point is to be covered, to be covert. I can't relate because we are an overt system, but I was misinformed by dissociated because they present an overt but call themselves covert because alters hide themselves as the host. That's still overt, just an overt system who can mask, which is why we try to do. I honestly probably created my own spread of misinformation because I thought, taking what dissociated said as fact, that I was covert because I could mask. Okay. How come you can say YouTube? I remember watching a Bobo and Co video on how frustrated they felt when seeing the way online. Yeah, like not this creator specifically, but a lot. I don't know. I can't imagine how frustrating it might be because like I've heard from people who are like, I would love to tell some people about my experience, like that I do have DID, but I don't want them to think that I present like split or something like that. Also, can I ask you guys a question really quick? I wish I knew how to do a poll. Okay. So, for my next video, what do y'all want to see? Next video. Because I may or may not have noticed that I gained I gained some subscribers recently, just a few. And so, I don't know, like, I don't want to talk about people faking disorders. Like, I don't want that to be my entire channel because that would be, like, milking the subject, and that's not cool. So, what is this? I was wondering, should I do a video on Mama Owl, who made questionable videos? Basically, it's just exposing a person for making inappropriate content on YouTube. Or just a video similar to that. Or, actually, I'm not going to do this for my next video. But people have asked me to make a video about Two Souls, One Bod drama. However, I don't want to make 3 videos in a row about them because that is a lot. Or should I do one about Ticks and Roses, someone who was caught for faking Tourette's? Or something else, but if you think it no, I don't know how to delete it. Or something else, but if you think it should be something else, then just comment it right now. Thank you. Stupid. No, how do I get rid of it? I don't want to vote on my own thing. No. Close poll. Okay. Thank you guys so much for commenting. I realized I can't say the word YouTube in certain contexts like it was portrayed in an advertisement level. For real? Okay. Imagine an alternative universe where Multiplicity and Me made it on the Anthony's famous DID video. Actually, it's so funny you say that because if I'm remembering correctly, Multiplicity and Me was supposed to be on the interview, but something happened. Like, Multiplicity and Me was like, oh, maybe we should give it to a smaller creator. I'll get back to you, although Ollie was really excited because he loved Anthony and Smosh and all of that. But then all of a sudden, Anthony messaged Multiplicity and Me back and was like, oh, I'm sorry, we already got a person. And basically the way, not Multiplicity and Me described it, but the way I heard it in this like Reddit post or something, was that DissociaDID kind of like slid in. So it could have been. It could have been. What are the votes, you guys? What is the vibe today? When does it end? Really, you guys? Really? Okay, fine. I'm honestly so happy that you guys are kind of into me doing Mama Owl because it's like, let's be so real. It's not the vibe to only talk about people faking disorders. Okay. Someone talked about how they watched a live stream a while back where they had a flashback or something on live and nobody could stop the live. This person ended up having they said, I ended up having a massive flashback and that left me dissociated for a couple of weeks. My roommate gave me lithium. I'm sorry, that's not lithium. That says, can't pronounce that, but it's not lithium. Of a lithium. Of a wellness check and a risk hospitalization or willingly to see a trauma specialist. So I went to a psychiatrist and got diagnosed. With dissociative being the big name in DID, I watched their videos for advice. Even as an overt system, I didn't present even near what they do. I figured my diagnosis had to be fake or just fake. So I stopped going to therapy and my psychiatrist visits. I compartmentalized it all and came out with the wrong conclusion that all my alters were fake and that it was just me here. I went to 3 different psychiatrists in the area for a quick school consultation where I presented my mental health record and chart with all the identifiable information and identifiable information redacted and asked if DID seems like a valid diagnosis. 2 said yes, 1 said she would get back to me after talking to a more knowledgeable coworker and eventually said yes as well. Overall, my therapy was held back at least a year because of their advice and allegedly fake presentation of what DID is. I'm still in the middle of trying to unwrap all the S word DissociaDID did to my healing. I have to work overtime to catch up. To be honest, I think establishing the most common experience of DID is difficult as the misinformation doesn't just make it harder for people with DID, it encourages a front of malingering. Yeah, I mean, I've heard of people who have DID online talk about how like they felt like they needed to exaggerate their symptoms and come forward later and apologize and be like, I felt like this is how I needed to portray it in order to be valid. Although like the people I'm talking about now don't do that anymore, and they focus on healing and stuff like that, and not on like, this is what my alter looks like in the inner world. This is, you know what I mean? Like, I thought dissociated used her connection to Jess to get in there. It absolutely could be, I'm not sure. I can understand all the fake disorder content, and you can thank people like Ticks and Roses for damaging the images of the mental health world. Absolutely, I can't imagine. I seriously cannot imagine. It just... I wonder what happened to Ticks and Roses. Hello, I think, just wishing y'all well. I hope you're doing well too, honestly. Alright, what are we at, you guys? Okay, you know what, you guys? Thank you so much for 47 people voting! Oh my god, that's so awkward. Thank you so much. What did I want to do? I wanted to talk about littles for a moment because DissociaDID has footage in the past of littles recording YouTube videos. For example, when they went to the DID sleepover, which if you don't know, a few people who make content online who also happen to have DID, they all got together and had a sleepover, they had brunch, it was so fun. And in the vlog Dissociated made, their little was recording some of it, and it's like, I mean, I'm sure it's absolutely possible for a little to know how to turn on a camera, but it's like, would they think to do that? Or when they did their Paris vlog, like going to Paris, I don't know. It's just stuff like that. But I'm not going to be able to find it, I guarantee you. So how's everyone's night going? Or evening, or day, or whatever? It's going pretty good. Also, LOL. Is it going good? I hope it is. Not this one. Full Disney vlog. Well, there is a part of the Disney video that has that, so we can put a pin in this. Wait. Okay. Okay, I think we found it. I don't know. I'm so sorry. Oh my. Okay, so why is this so SD? Whatever. Dissociated was like having a time at the sleepover, and then a little comes out to record.
Look what's over there!
So basically, this is Dissociated's little alter recording. Like, this could just be a genuine experience, you guys. I do not want to... I've just heard from a few people who say, like, my little has the ability to record, but it's probably not... If you don't know, a little alter is basically an age-regressed state, so it could be, like, a child alter. My little doesn't immediately think, like, I want to pick up a camera and film right now.
Oh my gosh. That's gonna get you. You gotta slay the snake. Addy protected us from the big snake.
I don't know. This is weird. I don't know.
And now it's dead.
That's cool. That's a cool thing. Okay, thank you. someone in my comment section said, we have some littles who play with them and some who know nothing and it scares them. Last year, a little drowned 2 phones, 2 earbuds, and 5 MP3 players in our bathtub because I'm sorry, I don't know, scare experiences. I can't click on this video for some reason. Okay, I suppose. Hooray! I don't know if people... Do you guys want to see this? Like, what is happening? Oh. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Thank you so much for sharing. I don't want to pronounce your name incorrectly, but also DissociaDID, before they took their break online, apparently the reason why they were calling out people, like, they weren't calling out people, they were saying things that were just straight up, in my personal opinion, mean. It's objective. I'm just saying that because I don't want to, like, all alleged. But the reason they were doing that was because they were fusing with Mara. So, basically Soren, as they are now, is Mara. And Kaya, right? This is our Mara.
It's my fucking turn. I'm not supposed to be doing this. My name is Mara.
And basically, like, if DissociaDID did go off on you online, I'm so sorry to hear about your experience. Their explanation right now, I think, would be that Soren has a twin sister, and the twin sister gets more like this online, I suppose. Wait. Because the technology scares your littles. Thank you for sharing. So they are stuck in time, so technology for the most part makes no sense to littles. Yeah, I think that can be a common experience. Like, some alters or littles might be stuck in the time that they might have beliefs. Not every person with DID, but some alters might have beliefs that they might have felt at the time or believe genuinely that it is this year. So they might not understand how technology even works. Anyways, I don't know. We're not gonna watch the Mara video, but anyways. Why is there no volume, though, is my question. I can't hear nothing. Can you guys hear me? What? Microphone.
Hey, where are we going?
Oh no, I don't want to show this because this is like littles crying and stuff. I'm sorry. Anyways, what am I even talking about at this point? Close that tab, close that tab. So anyways, we're going back to people saying that their experience, like, they couldn't relate to DissociaDID. Thanks, Obama. Yeah, that's a great point. I don't know. it's so many questions. Like, I was watching this old, this is such a rabbit hole, but basically Team Pinata had a FETISH to sneezing or sickness. And I was like watching this old dissociative video, and in the middle of it, dissociative sneezes. And it's like, if I sneeze in the middle of my video, I'm gonna edit that out. I don't understand the point of keeping that in. You know what I mean? It's just uncomfy situation. Yeah, PDA is like a thing that exists. I was convinced, this person said, I was convinced I had OSDD1B because of dissociated. I really struggled to accept I had DID because it didn't look like how I thought it should look. I also still push back in therapy and question my diagnosis. I tell my psychologist anytime I feel this way because I'm terrified I need to be while I'm terrified, I need to be honest. I feel like I'm always one sentence away from being told that it's not DID and I'm just experiencing delusions or psychosis. I told my psychologist that I know I don't present like most other systems. They looked at me really confused and said, "You present like most of the symptoms I've seen and treated in clinical settings," which I know is quite a lot because that's why they specialize in. I also really struggle with not going into denial spiral anytime I understand or relate to anything dissociative says now. I do have more fully fleshed out alters and somewhat functional inner world. I can see if I really focus on it, but normally don't bother because it doesn't matter. All I know is it's a forest, manor, castle, ocean, but these places only manifested because they're safe spaces for specific alters. As a collective whole, we like all these things, and it's where they live, exist in their relevant family units. It's very peaceful still and uneventful. I don't want to go into too much detail. The biggest thing for me, and obviously I'm accountable for my own choices, and there were other factors involved, but dissociated is part of the reason. Oh, maybe I should not read that. I'm so sorry. It's just a bad situation. Yeah, Plague, that is a good point. Is some people said, like, you might get, like for example, I would act differently if I went and saw a doctor, my GP, or a psychiatrist, or, you know, I act pretty much like this with my therapist, but, like, you know, I might act differently around them, which is valid. Peniel Peggy says, my BS alarms immediately went off when I first came across their content after diagnosis. I think they have a cultist following, and it was pretty eye-opening last year when they threatened to dox someone and liked comments from fans threatening to cause me physical harm. It seems there's a lot of different dangers to them and their contents. Dissociated is Anyways, but the YouTube fame has gotten to their head, and the way they censor people with DID often about misinformation and calls them out on problematic things they do reminds me of how, okay, we don't have to talk about that because that might be triggering. Basically, it reminds them, Peniel Peggy, of how cult leaders don't like their following to have an outside info or influence. This is faking DID for clout shit has negatively affected countless people's mental health at this point. Can you tell that my reading is starting to get weird? Shady or not, it's a very real disorder. Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. Like, it is... like, I have no doubt in my mind. When people comment on my YouTube channel and they're like, fun fact, DID doesn't exist, I'm like, I'm gonna delete that real quick, because it's like, guys... I don't know. Or I could always reply and be like, here is the proof from multiple sources. Okay, so basically this person on Reddit is saying, what do you think the biggest misinformation dissociated spread was? What their worst piece of advice is. If you could say anything to them or about them. This isn't a hate post, I just want to spark a conversation. This person said, biggest spread of misinformation aside from what was touched on earlier has been system presentation and communication. Everything is centered on the host. Protectors are created for them. Internal or external caretakers do X, Y, and Z, cater to what the host needs. System discovery leads to a near perfect coordination, communication, and acknowledgement of why this alter/part exists. In tandem with this, they escalate it into being something wonderful or fantastical, that having alters who are separate identities that should be celebrated. Not a disorder that has fragmented a person into multiple parts of self equals dysfunctional and stressful life. This encourages people to engage in anti-recovery rhetoric. I have heard that. I'm curious on your guys' thoughts. Like, is focusing so much on what different alters look like, being like, alter Y has blonde hair, blue eyes, they have, things that are not related to healing. For example, Murmur being the only alter who can take a shower, that is something valid to go through in therapy. But like looks and stuff and how they dress, do you think that increases dissociation, or is that more just like, because like what about functional multiplicity? I don't know. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, if you, like, to the mods, Heidi, or whoever is a mod right now, thank you for existing. Dissociative focuses on alters such as such being separate beings instead of parts holding different traumas, kind of like scar tissue covering something up. I'm confused. But anyways, not by your comment. I was like, I'm just confusing myself. Okay, I think the worst thing they do is recommend people struggling with their mental health to watch their videos instead of simply recommending they seek proper health care like any real advocate would. I'm not sure that they don't say, like, hey, you guys, you should definitely seek support. But it is interesting how they always say, like, you should watch our videos about this. And you know what I mean? It seems they just view their audience as likes and money and has no regard for their health whatsoever. They like to live a posh influencer life of misrepresenting a serious mental disorder and high-risk people. Don't you think they would... Okay. So this person says that self-diagnosis is valid. I think self-diagnosis is valid to the extent that, like, I cannot afford, or something, I have a reason why I cannot get diagnosed, or I don't want to get diagnosed, but I am still talking about this with my therapist or something. In that case, still talking about it online might be questionable just because it's such a complex and rare disorder. I've heard studies saying that like 1.5% of the population has DID, which in that case is not that rare, but in that case, isn't it as common as like BPD? Okay. Oh, okay. So that's fair. BPD is like between 0.7 and 2.7. But then what about DID? You know what I mean? It's like, anyway, 1.5. Oh, Heidi, you know what? It is really interesting what the mind and body do to survive. Yeah, absolutely. I like dissociative videos have some good info, but clearly something is really wrong. No, yeah, and I don't want to say that dissociative has only misinformation, like, or disinformation. I don't have the idea, and I'm not a specialist, but they do their research for a lot of things. I actually am self-diagnosed as being autistic, gathering up evidence and talk to my parents about getting a diagnosis. Like, that's valid, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a placeholder, but it's not like I'm diagnosed, I'm never interested. I don't know. It's such a touchy subject that I can't say, like, it is only valid if you do this and that. Like, if you get hurt, you can, I'll just say it. If you get shot, you can self-diagnose that you have a gun wound versus self-diagnosis as if you went to medical school. Absolutely. It's like you can self-diagnose yourself with the flu. You know what I mean? Because you're viewing your body, but the disorder is in your head. You know what I'm saying? There is a 0 chance that 1.5% of the world has DID. That's someone in the comments' opinion. Yeah, because here's my question. What percent of the world has a dissociative disorder? Okay, because dissociative identity disorder is, if I'm not mistaken, along with dissociative fugue, dissociative identity disorder is the most rare dissociative disorder. Okay, don't worry about my search history, y'all. I was doing research for a video. Didn't I just look that up? Yes, I did. Okay, dissociative fugue. Oh, it's all saying dissociative fugue. Anyways, my point is, it is the rarest or the second most rare dissociative disorder. So in that case, if 1 to 5% of the population has... Wait. Never mind. I'm moving on from statistics because this is ridiculous, and I'm just looking at Google right now. 1.5 is the same as schizophrenia. Fair. Okay, there is no place where a self-diagnosis matters. Questioning, on the other hand, is valid. Anyways, so sorry for giving you weird statistics, you guys. This person says that self-diagnosis is valid, whatever the F that means, that making a list of your alters and then shopping for a diagnosis and discarding as wrong anything else you got diagnosed with is sensible. Oh, so that, like, the BPD okay, wait. That mental health professionals are clueless and cannot diagnose. I don't remember dissociative saying any of this, so allegedly, that other labels such as CPTSD, dissociative subtypes, etc. are invalidating when they mean the exact same thing. That many of us first get another label, then as we get further into treatment with trained professionals, we may slowly open up and end up with a DID label as our covert mask comes down. That a lack of defined I'm so sorry, this must be so hard to follow. That a lack of defined self is a symptom of other things like BPD and plain old adolescence. Wait. Isn't it though? Well, not BPD specifically, but like, anyway, the entire point of diagnosis is to get the right treatment. Yeah, I mean, especially with complex dissociative disorders. I mean, I'm not going to gatekeep self-diagnosis because I'm not a professional. I don't know what I'm talking about ever. But I do generally tend to say, especially with complex dissociative disorders, you know what I mean? That a life with DID is excruciatingly hard. It doesn't make us feel special. It makes us feel isolated, miserable, lonely. Makes relationships extremely difficult, not only for others to care about us since we are changeable, but for ourselves. Often we have alters that dislike or feel nothing for supposed loved ones, including our own children. That often we have internalized our own abusers and torture ourselves as well as behave cruelly to those around us. I don't know what to say about that. If it's 1 to 5%, that's over 1 million people because 0.01% of the world is about 850,000 people. Okay, someone else said in my comments, what do we class as self-diagnosing though? If you are telling people about it or you're not going to explore other options without a professional, that's valid. Like, I've heard people say, like, their therapist diagnosed them with an eating disorder. But they said, I'm not going to diagnose you. I'm going to refer you to other, I'm going to treat you for it. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't think self-diagnosis is ever okay, but I think they can have and feel what we do because at one point we're not diagnosed either, but obviously related. Yes. Pip Fantastic said Thank you. I don't know, you guys. I'm starting to get like so out of it right now. Stop saying personality states are people as well. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, from my perspective, yes, they are people, but it's not like you actually have multiple souls in your head. You are the same person who was traumatized and split off. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel bad. But anyways, I might, like, stop. I might stop this. So you guys all said 2 souls, 1 bod. Oh, people are still voting. What the heck? What the heck? Thank you so much to 101 people. That is crazy. So you guys want Ticks and Roses, which is valid. I'll probably do Ticks and Roses, to be honest. But anyways, I don't know. To everyone who like was here and commented during the live or was just a silent watcher, genuinely, thank you so much. Everything in this video was alleged and for entertainment purposes only. Also, I hate to say this, but please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, comment down below once it's uploaded because it helps with the algorithm if you want to, if it's the vibe, if you have anything you want to say. Okay, wait, I'm just gonna read what this person said and then go off. No, I get what you're saying, Michelle. I've heard that for BPD. Sometimes people will get told, you have some of the stuff for BPD, but I don't feel comfortable enough diagnosing. Yes. And Heidi says, they're alters, an alteration of how you interact with your surroundings. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Feel free to correct me, like, in the comments. That's valid. And thank you so much, you know, to everyone who was here. I'm saying thank you way too much, but it seriously does mean the absolute world to me. Like, I can't describe. It's incredible. Everyone have a good night, day, night, whatever the case may be. Take care of yourselves. And I'm going to end the stream now. Let me know if you want more lives. Peace out.